Hey everyone, my name is Tim Tyrrell. I'm a backend instructor here at Turing School, and I'm going to do a quick demo on variable assignment in Ruby. And I'm going to do all of this assignment here in my terminal. So it's a quick place that if you want to start, trying out things in Ruby, you can do it. This is my terminal. It's full screen. If I hit enter, you can kind of see like where I'm at. I am in my home directory, and it doesn't really matter what directory you're in when you start this, but you have a Ruby interpreter built into your terminal called IRB. And so if I type IRB in my terminal anytime and I hit enter, now you can see my prompt will change a bit. It tells me what version of Ruby I am on, and then it also has the line number that I'm starting on. And so now I am in a Ruby REPL, which REPL is a read, evaluate, print, and loop, where I can run Ruby code. All right. And so if I want to assign a variable, I can do that right here in Ruby. And so if we start out with some math variables or some kind of like algebraic looking variables, I can assign, say, the letter X, and I assign with the equal sign, and I'll assign that to the integer of 10. All right, and so I can say x assigned to 10. I hit enter. The return value is printed right here to me. And now, anytime that I want to access the integer 10 that I assigned to x, I can just call x. So if I call x now and I hit enter, 10 is returned. So x in this case represents the integer 10. And now I can perform actions on x the same way that I would write on the integer 10. All right. And so if I wanted to maybe add 50 to x, I could do that. And indeed, I've got 60 returned when I do an x plus 50. However, x is still 10 at this point because I ran a math calculation up here on line 3, and I got a return value of 60. But x in itself is still representative of 10. If I wanted x to be something else, like maybe I wanted x to turn into 50, I could reassign x at this point by doing an x equals sign 50. Now x has been assigned to 50. The return value of this of running this is 50, and now x, when I run it, is 50 as well. All right, and so this is how I can assign a variable x assigned to 10, and I can reassign a variable with x assigned to 50, and now x will behave as it is assigned to the integer 50. I can do multiple variables if I want. Maybe I want y equals 10 now. So I've assigned y to the integer of 10. And maybe I want to do an x times y at this point. This is totally valid because x in itself represents the integer 50, and y in itself represents the integer 10. If I run this calculation, indeed I get 500. All right, and so this is some basic variable assignment where you have a data type. In this case, we're using integers, and you can assign them to really anything. Like I don't have to only use x and y. I could use whatever I wanted, like my fantastic variable name. And so as long as there aren't any spaces in between whatever you're calling this, and as long as it's lowercase, these are the two big things to remember: lowercase and no actual spaces. So I used underscores to create this variable name in what is called snake case. And that is the convention in Ruby. But I can just kind of come up with my variable names on the fly. And as long as I use this equal sign and assign it to something, my fantastic variable name, maybe this time we'll assign it to an array. And this array will have a couple of strings in it. with some names in it. Cool. We've got the strings David, Megan, and Tim within this array. I hit enter. Now the return value is the array, but now anytime I want my fantastic variable name, and another fun thing is once I start typing this, I can hit the tab button at any point that I want, and that Ruby can recognize that this is the only variable right now that's named my Fanta anything. I can hit the tab button and that'll complete for me. All right. And so I don't have to spend the time typing out my long variable name that I just created here. So now I have my fantastic variable name and I can hit enter. And sure enough, it represents the array that I expect. So maybe I want to, we're getting to the bottom of the terminal. I want to clear this screen so that I have more room at the top. I'm going to hit a Command K. Now that has cleared my screen, but it hasn't cleared my history. So everything that I expect is still represented. X is still 50, Y is still 10, and my fantastic variable name is still representative of this array of strings. All right. So if I want to do, maybe I hit it. So another fun thing is you can, in IRB or in your terminal, you can hit the up arrow and it kind of scrolls through the history of the commands that you've typed. So I'm scrolling through from nothing to my fantastic variable name, then Y, then X, and this is the history of the commands that I've typed. And I can go the other way by by hitting the down arrow to go back the other way. And now this behaves just like any array would. So if I want to access the first element of the array, I simply chain on the bracket notation and then the index position of the first element of the array, which is 0. If I run that code, sure enough, I get the first element of the array, which is Tim, because it is located here. And so you can see my fantastic variable name now behaves exactly as this array would here. All right, so if I could also run this directly on this array, and I would get the same result. But my fantastic variable name is representative of this array. Okay. Great. And maybe I decide, you know what? I don't want this array to be my fantastic variable name. I just want my fantastic variable name to be assigned to, a new hash at this point. So I can use my curly braces and I can say, I want to reassign my fantastic variable name to a new hash. Great. I've done that. And now if I run my fantastic variable name, it indeed is a hash instead of this array. So once again, I can assign something to any name that I really create as long as it's lowercase and has no spaces. And we usually separate words with the snake case in Ruby. And I can reassign the variable at any point I want. And I can kind of come up with this stuff on the fly. It can be anything I want, like low power. I can assign to maybe we want this to be a string dot new. Great. So what that did is that assigned this low power variable to an empty string because I said I wanted string dot new. Great. So that's what I got. Now when I call low power, sure enough, it is a string. If I maybe want to add some stuff, low power, and then I want to add something to the string, I can do this plus equal, and I can say low power, maybe I want to say MacBook is running low on battery. Great, you can see I use this plus equal assignment, so I'm adding and assigning at the same time here with this syntax. Now I do that. Now when I check low power, I've added this to actually be part of the string that is the variable low power, and I've assigned that in this way. Cool. So this is kind of your basic Ruby assignment, Ruby variable assignment. You can use this in a powerful number of ways to basically store data to a variable that is then easily accessible later on when you need to access it or when you need to make changes to it, as I did here on line 20. All right, once again, I'll do a Command K to clear this. Now I'm on line 22, but my prompt is at the top. If I want to get out of IRB, I can say exit. Great. Now, IRB does not remember what variables you created in your last IRB session, in your previous one. So if you start a new IRB session, all of your variables are no longer they're no longer there. And so this is a common error that you'll see: name error, undefined local variable or method X. Same thing for Y. I haven't defined any of these in my new session, so they are no longer available. However, if I do reassign them, low power, and we'll maybe call this 0% this time as a string. Great. And now when I call low power, I can get that string back. I think that's all I'm going to show you for this video. One other thing I wanted to show you is that there is a gem in Ruby that you can download called pry. So if you want to download a gem, you can say gem install pry from your command line. Once you're not in IRB, notice I exited IRB. Now I'm in my terminal command prompt. And if I do a gem install pry, I already have it installed, but sure enough, it's installing it here and installing some documentation. Great. This is what I want to see. And then if I call pry from the command line, now pry is very similar to IRB, but it is a slightly powerful version of IRB where you can run any Ruby command that you want here, but it has a number of more features, which we won't get into today. But I just wanted to show you that it works the same. The syntax is a little bit better in my opinion. And yeah, this is, or not the syntax, the highlighting is a bit better in my opinion. So if I wanted to maybe like have an array of numbers here, and I want to set that, I want to reassign X to be these numbers, then maybe I want to do an X dot each, and then do number. I hit enter. Now you can see like the formatting is a little bit better. We've got some colors, we've got some Ruby formatting. We've got this little star here that indicates pry is waiting for me to end this loop so I can do things in here. Maybe I want to put each num to the screen, print it to the screen, and then I want to end this. And sure enough, it's got my return value down here, and it printed 1, 2, and 3 to the screen. So some basic iteration there. But yeah, that's all. Pry, IRB, both great things, and variable assignment, very key to how we write Ruby code. If you have questions, feel free to DM me.